1, 2, 3, 4.
Misses in a mic, you don't need much more.
4 misses.
Come on.
4 misses.
Come on.
5, 6, 7, 8.
It's your favorite podcast, so save the date.
4 misses.
Come on.
4 misses.
Come on. 4 misses in a mic. Come on. 4 misses in a mic. Come on.
Hi, guys. Welcome to the 4 Mrs. and a Mic podcast. This is CJ.
To the left is CC.
This is Al.
And it's Bree. Hi.
Hey. We would like to thank you guys so much for listening in and following us on Instagram. Please know that our podcast is available on Libsyn, YouTube, Spotify, and we are coming soon to iTunes and Google Play. We really appreciate your feedback and your questions. It's a lot of fun to hear from you all, and we hope that we can get to all of your questions when we do our listener portion of the podcast. So, Bree, what are we talking about today?
Okay, so today, before we get into that, I just want to say we had, speaking of awesome feedback from our listeners, we had like the best review from one of our listeners. She said, we sound like a cross between Insecure and Girlfriends. That just warmed my heart.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome feedback.
Yeah, right.
I like that.
Anywho, okay, so today we're talking about dating deal breakers. That was my own little sound effect.
That was great.
Did you like that? Thank you.
We did like that one.
Stacey,
Yeah.
you always are building
That
me
was
up. I
wonderful.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you. So first, I think we should talk about some of our dating horror stories. I'm sure we have some. Do we?
I'll go first.
Do you? Okay, you go first.
So I dated someone, we probably talked for about, I don't know, maybe on the phone a couple of times, and then we went out a few times. And I started to put some weird things together, and I realized that he had been lying to me about what school he went to.
Now, why would he do that? Was it like a
Because
bad
the
school?
No, I really don't know. I think he just wanted the popularity vote
Of the other school.
of the other
school.
school.
He said.
I probably don't want to say both names of the schools, but I'll just go with I'll just go with the fact that he wanted to look like macho and really good for going for this one particular school. So that's why I guess he decided to keep it from me. And I figured it out. I'm a detective in real life, so he started
Forget the
saying he was
FBI.
going to this prom or he was going to this event, and I'm like, well, that event really isn't going on, so
Oh, he was inventing events.
right, yeah. So I put that together and instantly turned off. Done.
Yeah. So I'll go next. My dating horror story actually was number 1, and it was after we dated. We kind of circled back towards each other like in college, and I'm not really sure why I thought this was a good idea, but anywho, he asked me out. I said yes. We agreed to go to like lunch somewhere. He let me pick. I picked this restaurant. I think it was J. Alexander's. If you've ever been to Baton Rouge, I think it's a national chain. They're pretty good. They have good fish. Anywho, so we went to J. Alexander's, and you know, when you're just not having good chemistry, and the conversation is just not flowing, and there's a lot of dead like space and air. It was kind of like that, which was weird because obviously we knew each other pretty well. So I was kind of already not feeling it. But then when the check came, he didn't reach for it. And he just let it sit there. And so I thought he was joking. And I was like, do you want me to pay? And he was like, I mean, if you're offering. And I was like, oh. So I paid. And in hindsight, I should have just paid for myself and let him stay there and figure out how he was going to eat. But that was an instant, I'm never calling you again. And a funny little tidbit about that was I went on a date with my husband for the first time later on that night. So I had my worst date and my best date on the same day.
Very interesting.
Well, this is Al. My dating horror story was in college, and he came to pick me up. And I had dated a few, bad guys. And this guy was kind of nerdy, It's like, okay, he seems kind of sweet. He asked me out, and I said, okay, I'll go out with him. So he came to pick me up, and I got in his car, and we're driving off. And he's like, I'm really And before he could finish the word nervous, we were T-boned by someone. Because he had apparently ran a stop sign. He was so nervous.
Oh man.
he would. We waited for the cops, and they did the police report and everything. And he just really still wanted to go to the movies with his car, just totally bent in. And we went, and the whole time I'm thinking, I just want to go home.
So did y'all go to the movie?
At the movies, yes. I was like, I just want to be home. This is just weird. So I just felt so bad for him because he was like shaking and he just.
I would have went to the hospital. Honey, I had an insurance claim.
You're a good
Craziest
sport. You're a
part.
very good sport because you went through with the date.
Yeah, the craziest part is I ended up having back problems like a month later.
See?
And they're
She's
asking me,
going to
were you
hospital.
in an accident recently? And I'm like, I actually was.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was pretty horrifying. And every time I talked to him after that, he wanted to make sure I was okay. Like, how's your back? How you doing? And it just was awkward.
That's really
It's really awkward.
I feel bad for him because it's like it was an honest mistake.
Right,
you
it
know,
wasn't his fault.
But still.
Well,
you
it
would not
was
have
because
still
he
gone to the
ran a
movies.
stop sign.
Yes, you're right. He did. Well, it's your fault for being so gorgeous that he was so nervous. He should have came looking more busted, and then it would have been fine.
Negative.
No.
What about you, CJ? Do you have a horror story?
I do. So this happened when I was in college, and at the time, I wasn't really into the dating scene. I was just out of a serious long-term relationship, so I wasn't taking people seriously. But this one guy spent about 4 weeks trying to convince me that I should let him take me out. Text messages, phone calls, everything. So a little backstory, he did date another girl on campus. I didn't know her. I just knew that at one point in time they dated. They weren't together anymore. So I agreed to this date. We go out, get all dressed up. We go to this nice restaurant. He talks about the ex-girlfriend the whole time at the date.
Oh, no.
Every time I tried to change the subject, nothing. It was like crickets.
Oh, my.
So dinner is over. He brings me back to campus. I'm like, whew, that's over. I call up my friends. They're like, oh, you're back early. I was like, yeah, the date was whack. Let's hang out. It's a Saturday. You're in college. So we're just hanging out. And my phone starts ringing non-stop. Like call after call after call after call. I'm like, well, this guy is crazy because he keeps calling me. So finally, after like the 10th phone call, I answer it. It's his sweet mate. And he's like, yeah, I think you need to come and see about this guy because he keeps asking for you, like something is wrong. We don't know what's going on. So I'm like, well, why is he asking for me? I can't help him. Like, we're not together. This is not serious. Like, I don't know, but you just need to come. So I was like, well, I'm not really doing anything. And, when you're bored, a little bit of drama seems exciting. So I get in the car and I find out like where his dorm is on campus and I go to see about him. I don't know what happened in the time that he left me and got back to the room, but by this point, he was under some type of influence. I feel like it was a combination of weed and alcohol. I'm asking him what's going on. He can't articulate how he feels or what's happening. He had like punched a hole in a wall.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like a left turn. I literally tucked him in the bed.
Did you read him a bedtime story?
No. I literally tucked him in the bed. All his hand was messed up. He didn't know if it was broken. I was like, well, maybe in the morning you can go to the hospital and let them check it out.
And don't call me, okay?
He had
Forget
been
my
off a
name.
little bit. But yeah, I tucked him in. I closed the door and I left. And that was it.
So her.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
such a her thing to
So
do.
first of all, it's your fault again for showing up so good looking to the date. You should have showed up busted, and none of this would have happened. No, but honestly, I thought you were gonna talk about that time we went on a group date, and we had a bet about whose guy was gonna show up
So give the
worst
backstory
dressed.
first. Give the backstory first.
Well, I don't know the whole, so you guys may have to chime in, but we were in high school, and CJ, and I were going to an event, and it was a group date because I was the only one whose parent was willing to let them drive without a license. And so, if I'm not mistaken, CJ and CC, you guys told your parents that I had a license, but I didn't. I just had a permit, and for some reason, my mom was okay with that. So I was the driver, and my date met me at my house, and he showed up so handsome. If he's listening, he probably can figure out who he is, and he's doing really well, and I wish him well. But I don't know why you had an inclination that your date, CJ.
This is what happened.
Okay,
they started to enforce the dress code at our homecoming dances.
Yes.
And we told the guys that we were going with that they had to dress up.
Yes.
And mine in particular kept saying, "Oh, I don't think so. I think I'm just going to do jeans."
But I knew.
And I kept saying, "It's okay. Like, you can leave your jeans at home today. Please dress up."
But your date was joking, and I know this because he's my cousin,
Right.
and I knew he was gonna come correct.
Well, my date was not joking. And when he said he was going to wear jeans, I knew for a fact he was going to show up with jeans. So when we got in the car,
So we had a wager of who would look
Whose
the
date
worst.
was gonna look the worst?
Right.
I lost because mine had on a suit. Thank you.
And we pulled up to my date next, and he was decent. He had
Yes,
on his
nice
khaki
sweater,
pants,
nice
sweater.
slacks, very cute.
everybody's date looked really nice and presentable.
Until we pulled up to
We
CJ's
pull
date's
up
house.
to my date's house. He walks outside.
Wait. Before he walked outside, you had gone in to get him, and you came back without him. And we were like, where is he? And you were just really mad when you got in the car.
He walked outside with jeans, of course.
A wife beater. Because he wasn't all the way dressed yet.
Right.
Right.
He wasn't done. He was running late.
right.
That's why you went inside.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. The white beater. And a necktie around his head.
I'll never forget that. So, hi, how you doing? Everything, CJ's still in like a pissy mood, and I'm not really sure how this is going to play out, but I start driving to the dance. And we get to the dance, and we go in, and me and my date go in, and CC and her date go in, and CJ goes in, and her date does not, and she leaves him right there at the
door.
entrance.
And we turned around and we thought we were missing somebody. We were.
It was him.
It was him.
Yeah, because of course he got stopped because he didn't meet the dress code.
By one of our
And
gym coaches.
I wasn't about to miss my homecoming, and I was embarrassed. I wasn't walking in next to him. So I think he talked the guy into letting him in.
Yeah.
But I was embarrassed the rest of the night. That was awful.
That night had a lot of other twists and turns that we will talk to you about later.
Yes.
But, so you guys ready to move on to our next segment? Today we actually have some special guests. It's the first for four misses. Yay! So because we're talking about dating deal breakers, we thought it would be a good idea to get the perspective of people who are probably in different walks of life than we are right now. So we have Nicki with us, and she is going to represent the demographic of people who have a bit more dating experience than we do. Would you say you're a baby boomer, Nicki? I'll take that as a yes.
And then we also have Jazz with us today, who is a recent college grad, so she's on the younger side of the spectrum.
Hi guys.
Okay, guys, so basically I'm going to give you some scenarios and you tell me if these are deal breakers or not, okay? All right? Okay. So, what if he doesn't have a car?
Who wants to go first?
I think it depends on why he does not have a car.
I agree with that. I feel like if you're saving up to it and you're not just there yet, or maybe you just bought a house or you just moved out, maybe you just got in an accident, if you're working towards it, that's fine. But actively saving to work for it, not, oh yeah, cause next month or blah 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 blah, I'm gonna get this car, and then it doesn't happen, and then the next month comes, and the next month comes, and then it changes from a Lamborghini to a BMW to a Camaro to
Yeah,
So
I feel you. So for me, I'm sure you guys are like, here comes Bree. There are only two scenarios where him not having a car is okay. One is he was recently in an accident and he's waiting to get the new car. Or we live in a city like New York City where having a car just isn't feasible. Everybody uses mass transit or taxis or Ubers or whatever, that's fine. Where I live, where we do not have that kind of infrastructure, you need to have a car. I am not going to be the chauffeur to all of our dates. That's not happening.
I can agree with that.
Yes.
I'll agree with that.
What about you, Nikki? What do you think?
I think some of that depends on locale. I actually have met men, having been in the dating world a little bit longer than anyone in this room. I've met people who don't drive because they live in metropolitan areas where mass transit is the norm. However, locally, I do not think I would be able to understand a man that's at the dating age for me not being self-sufficient. And self-sufficiency entails being not living with your mother, your cell phone not being in your mama's name, not borrowing your brother's vehicle, and having to get home to bring it back. You need to have your own. God bless the child.
Amen
Yes.
to that.
Yes.
What about you?
We all agreed on that. Check that out.
I think they absolutely have to have a car. I mean, it's just, how do you get around? I mean, seriously.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Also, to chime in again, I just feel like if you can't support yourself, then how are you going to support me if you're serious about dating?
Boom. Exactly. See? Ooh. Yes. Yes, honey. Yes. Okay.
I need to interject something here because as the parent of self-sufficient young women, you are never looking for somebody to support you.
That is
Ever.
That's true.
Everything they bring to the table is gravy. That's it.
That's true. That's true. But it is nice to not have to worry about spending my own. So I can spend yours. I'm going to just put that out.
You do that very well.
I think my husband probably would agree with you. Okay, so the next one. Check comes and he does not offer to pay. Now, I know I touched on this earlier, so I'm sure y'all already know how I feel about that. But what do you guys think about that?
I think that unless there was an agreement before the date that you all were paying for your own meals or you were treating him for some strange reason to dinner, I am expecting him to pick up the check. For me, I like some of like the old school ideas of dating and the man paying for the date and opening the doors and things like that. So if this is the first date, I'm expecting him to pay.
Okay.
I agree. He needs to pay, and I think that he also needs to tip very well.
Oh, yeah.
That is a deal breaker for
That
me,
tells
guys.
you a lot about him.
Yeah, exactly. Guys who just don't tip or don't tip well. Yeah, that's also a deal breaker.
Mm-hmm. I kind of feel like it's an indication of like his upbringing. Like
Yes.
if he was taught etiquette, you know?
Yes.
My view is sort of traditional, but sort of with a modern twist. I believe whoever asked you out is the person who should pay. So if I ask him out, I'm willing to pay. However, if he's a gentleman, he will still offer. And I may let him do it.
Visitors? I mean, yeah, I just agree with everything everyone else had already said. Even if it was like an issue where we're both just looking at the checkbook, I'd still be like, okay, well, you want to split it. I'm not just gonna go ahead and cover your whole situation. Like, I just feel like it's a matter of maturity. And like Bree was saying, if you ask me out, then you should have been expecting to cover the cost.
Agreed.
So I guess I missed the part of the question. Is this about if he doesn't offer to pay, if he doesn't look at the check or reach for the check?
Yes,
Because not paying the check is not a deal breaker for me. In fact, some dates I would rather pay the check and deuces.
Now that's true. Okay, I didn't even think about it. If the date is like tanking and you're just ready to get out of there.
Look at the time. Gotcha.
I forgot to feed the cat. There you go. That's the one I always use. Gosh darn it. Armani is hungry at home. She needs her cat food. Okay, so the next one. His breath stinks.
Total deal breaker.
Deal breaker.
Deal breaker.
I can't justify that one. I don't want to get close and we're not
Okay.
crazy.
That's hygiene. Like, that's the first thing you see. You smell.
Wait. This is hesitation.
What if it was something he just ate?
Girl, I'm sorry.
So,
You should've
I don't know.
A mint? Something, maybe? There's a story coming. There's a story coming.
There's not a story coming. I don't know for sure if this is a deal breaker for me. Because for me, I would need to know. For me, I would need to know whether or not this is a persistent problem or if this is more of a I just didn't brush my teeth in the past 8 hours problem, or I had something that was like heavy with garlic problem.
So you want to know if it's halitosis versus bad hygiene versus
If you
garlic
have a
pizza.
problem. Right.
It could be health related.
It could
now,
be
I will
health
tell you,
related.
there are issues that there are times when people have health related issues, but I'm sorry, if it's a first date, first, second, third day, I'm not really sure I'm going to be as understanding, unless, of course, I have your health dossier before we get there.
Even then, a mint goes a long way.
Some health problems are not overcome with men, which means that you probably should focus on something other than dating.
Okay, so the next one is he smokes.
Deal breaker for
Deal
sure.
breaker.
Ew.
Deal
No.
breaker.
Okay, so for me, I wouldn't say this is the thing. If it's cigarettes, it's a deal breaker, 100%. If it's weed occasionally, I can live with that. If it's a nice cigar habit, I'm actually with him on that one.
Okay, so clarify. So habitual smoker, absolutely not.
It's a no. It's a no.
But I'm okay with a cigar or something there too.
But I'm never okay with cigarettes. If it's cigarettes, even if it's socially, no, I just can't. I hate how they smell. Ugh. So he shows up to the date, and you're getting to know each other, and he tells you he has 5 kids.
Deal breaker.
Deal breaker.
Deal breaker for me.
Deal breaker depending. If he has 5 kids and he's like a widower or something, that's kind of,
That's sweet.
yeah.
It's still a
that's-
no for me though. That's a lot of mouths to feed.
At your
That's a lot.
age, 5 kids, I don't know.
But
5
what
kids,
about
5
you?
baby mamas. No, I'm not sure that kids really matter to me. Someone I would be dating, I would think that it shouldn't really matter if they have kids. If their grandkids live with them, that's a problem. If they have kids, they should be doing what adults do, self-sufficient type things, not borrowing their parents' car.
So what if he tells you he's technically still married?
Nope.
Oh,
Deal breaker.
No.
Never.
No.
Nope.
No.
See, I don't agree with you guys, and I'll
What's
tell
the
you this.
technicality behind
Right,
that?
if they're like separated and they're in the divorce
Still
process.
married.
But this is why I say it's not necessarily a deal breaker, because sometimes the divorces take longer than the marriage.
Well,
and if they
then
had a
date
lot of-
after.
But if they had a lot of assets to split, which, might be a testament to his financial situation, I might be more willing to overlook the fact that on paper he's still married, but I'm not going to get engaged to him while
That's
he's still
surprising
married.
coming from you.
Really?
Because if you
Yeah.
can't afford a divorce,
Well, it's not about
Very-
affording it, but it's like, she's fighting me for the villa in France kind of thing.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
rich people problem.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, for me, I would need evidence that this divorce is in the process of happening. I would need to know that there's paperwork that they're
Right.
dealing with, that there are lawyers involved.
Right.
If there is some type of legal battle as far as who gets what,
Mm-hmm.
I would need to know that is actively happening.
Versus
for
him
me-
just telling you that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I need proof.
I'm with you.
Right.
I'm with you. Because
Right.
that would be a good, easy lie to tell. And really, he's just having an affair. Yeah.
I don't know that, I don't really see a way around just having the experiences that I've had and the people around me. If he's technically married, he's married. And until he's technically not married, being in the process of a divorce is simply filing divorce paperwork. It doesn't mean that you're getting a divorce. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that you're not seeking reconciliation. It really doesn't mean anything. I know a lot of people who are getting a divorce, and I'm only here because till the children graduate, and just all kinds of stories. People that have been getting a divorce for 10 years and they're still living in the same house. People that aren't married, that technically are divorced and they still live in the same house. So you're still married to me. So I, for me personally, and just based on my own experiences, I don't know that anybody could tell me that I'm technically married, and that would make them. You can, we're friends. Meet me for dinner, but don't pick me up.
Gotcha.
I'm not picking you up. That's just I don't know that is, you're not on equal footing. Okay, so you're not entering you're not even entering a situation where you could have an amicable relationship, because there's 3 people involved. A minimum of 3. It could be a wife or
Oh,
girlfriend.
Miss Nicki is getting deep.
No, these are just experiences that I wish I hadn't had.
That's why we have you here.
Yeah, I need to see finalized divorce papers. Like,
She's like,
done.
no, gotta
like,
be done. I need the divorce decree, honey.
There's no in between. No.
And even if he's in the process, if he's still living with her, that's a no for me as well.
Oh
Yeah.
No.
Y'all need to already be separate. Yeah. So what if he shows up high?
That's a deal breaker for me now. I have to be honest. In college, maybe not, because I think college, everybody's experimenting with something, whether it's weed or alcohol or, had it been another substance, that would have been absolutely no. But if he was high, it may have been a turn off for me, but not a deal breaker.
I would need to know why.
It would be a no for me just off the bat.
I would need to know why.
Like, could you have gotten high another time? You knew you were going out with me tonight. I want to get to know you sober, the real you, not the high you.
Ooh, define what high. What do you mean by that? I mean, I'm hallucinogenics. Are you talking about weed? I mean, and if it's
Just
somebody
any
that
of the
you're
above.
just meeting, how do you really know? There are people that probably are more normal. A substance.
When they're high,
Yeah.
when they're not. Those are the people I don't want to date, though.
Yeah, but how do you know
That's a
that
good
in the
point,
beginning,
though,
right?
right?
And then they
Because you
become,
could
like, when
be-
you meet them and like you're not, like, this is like really you?
Yeah.
And you could be high on medication.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and
What if you're nervous and it takes the edge off for a second, So it's not a complete deal breaker
Take
for
a shot
me.
of whiskey. I don't need you to toke up.
Maybe that's all. he
that's a
needs to
whole
get
different
high.
thing.
Maybe he's a lightweight.
So the difference is marijuana is not legal and whiskey is.
Well,
So-
true. And honestly, marijuana, if he smoked, I just wouldn't want him to smoke right before our date. But if he smoked marijuana, that's not a deal breaker for me. But if he's like snorting coke, shooting meth,
How are you gonna know?
heroin, well, track marks tell a lot.
Oh, okay. Well, he has on long sleeves.
And be wary of the man with the long pinky nail. Okay.
That's
Well,
a
that's
deal
a
breaker.
little tidbit
period.
for you from Riverdale. There's a reason why that pinky nail is long. Just say that. I saw some of those 90s black movies before, and I know. I do.
Okay, so I think we've all given our perspective, but I guess from like the younger angle,
Yes,
Jazz, do you
Jazz.
feel like
I still feel like it would be a deal breaker, especially if you're supposed to be picking me up. Do I really want you driving me around, impaired?
Yeah.
So then you're not putting my safety as a priority. So that's a deal breaker for me.
Good point.
Good job.
So that's visibly impaired. Because I still go back to the fact that
True.
you literally don't know what people do.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But if he's tweaking, don't get in the car.
Oh, no.
I got sick.
The cat is still hungry, guys. All right, so what if he tells you he's unemployed? Let me go first because I feel like you guys are gonna think that I'm gonna say, "Oh hell no," but there are a lot of like stipulations to that could work for me. For instance, he's unemployed because he just got a lot of seed money to start his own business. Technically, he doesn't have a job, but he's an entrepreneur and he's not poor or anything like that. I wouldn't hold that against him. Or if he's a trust fund baby, I wouldn't hold that against him either. Or if he was just recently laid off, but he's like actively looking, again, I wouldn't hold that against him. As long as his finances weren't completely in the gutter from that, I wouldn't hold that against him.
I'm going to say it's not a deal breaker for me, but it will definitely taint my view of him. So I don't.
So like you would keep that in the back of your mind, and then like if like 3 months he still doesn't have a job,
Yeah, actively looking
I agree.
is
Yeah.
worrisome for me.
The only time this works is if he is recently unemployed, meaning he was laid off or he had to be laid off. So maybe the company downsized or something like that. If he got fired because he did something wrong, that's red flags all over the place. Even if he's a trust fund baby and he's just living off of money, that means you're not doing anything aside from hanging around and living off of the money in your bank account. You don't have any passions. You don't have anything that's driving you. You don't have anything you're working towards. That's a problem for me because when I'm dating someone, I need a man who's going to instill a good work ethic in my kids. And I need a man who's going to teach them the value of just, working hard for something or working towards a goal of some type. So just having money and sitting on a couch, that's not going to work for me.
Okay, but what if his last name is like Morgan or Vanderbilt or something like that? And even though he's not employed, let's say he's an artist, a free spirit, he paints, he writes poetry, he just doesn't sell it because
But that's
he doesn't
doing
need to.
something.
Yeah,
right?
that's having
Are
a
you okay
passion.
with
But,
doing
but
something?
that's still not employment. So
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Being a trust fund baby and not having that passion is a deal breaker for me. I don't know how I feel about what you just said though, because you're right, it's not employment. Like they're not painting or doing music for say like a non-profit organization or something of that sort. They just decided to buy some paintbrushes and paint in their spare time. I think I may still have a problem with that.
Yeah, I think you need to have something to do.
well,
Like
he's
something.
He's painting.
No, but because do
I
I
agree
get
with that,
to
though.
like benefit from the trust fund as well?
Once
Because
you-
I have to go to work every day.
But
so I
once
can't
your
leave
last
you at
name
home
becomes
on the
Morgan or
sofa.
Vanderbilt, yes, you do, and your children do too.
But I still have to do something.
And then what do? We both sit on the couch?
Yeah, no.
No,
that
you
doesn't
both
work.
paint.
You
travel.
No, you can reinvest
and you
your trust
attend
fund money.
You attend charity functions that you donate money to, but you don't actually like have to get involved. I mean, you live a free spirited life. I'm just saying there are some people who are like that, and I wouldn't necessarily hold that against them.
Oh yeah, they can do that. It's just a deal breaker for me.
Well, it's not for me. So, Mr. Morgan Vanderbilt, if this doesn't work
She's
out,
married.
Thank you for reminding her of that.
You know, I mean,
Two
anything
kids,
could happen. Anything could happen. Is all I'm saying. What about you, Elle?
I think it's just a deal breaker depending again. It kind of just depends on what they're doing. Like if they have a job 1 year and then they're there, for like a year, and then they go to another job for 6 months, and then they go to another job for 5 months, and that's a deal breaker. But if what you're saying, it depends on how much he really has in this trust fund, and how is it something that you're going to live on for the rest of your life? Can we do things together? Can we start a business together? Maybe I can get some passion flowing, and in him to make him want to do more, It just depends.
Well, what about you, Nicki?
I think that it, for me, depends on where the dating, where we are in dating. Not being employed or having a job is not a deal breaker for me. I don't really care whether you have a job. Again, you need to be self-sufficient. And so at the end of the day, I literally saying a job or if he's unemployed, so if you own a company and you don't talk about it, just having been around the block a few times, sometimes you never know what's on the other side of the horizon. Just because somebody's driving a Hyundai doesn't mean that that's the extent. I mean, what does Bill Gates have? Honda or something?
Something.
Probably,
Like sometimes you never really know. So I don't know that dating for me is dependent upon what kind of pension fund you have or it's just not, and this is from my perspective, from where I am at this space in my life. I just don't know that your job, whether you have a job, whether you've been laid off, I want you to be self-sufficient. I want you to have the work ethic. Again, you guys are coming from looking at it from a different angle, because I'm not looking for anybody to build and become and grow into a man. You should already be that. Okay, I'm not saying I'm not trying to raise anybody's children.
And she don't want no $75 engagement ring either.
See,
Just putting that out there.
Next question.
Okay, so what if he tells you he expects sex in exchange for the date?
What?
No.
Bye.
Boy, bye.
Wait, does that happen?
Next
Yes,
question.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Right?
Moving on.
Like, you never heard of, she's ordering from the screw side of the menu. She's trying to get lobster and filet. I better be getting something after this.
Next
You don't have to have a
question.
cat that needed to be fed.
Exactly. The cat is still hungry. So, what if he tells you he doesn't believe in monogamy?
Next question.
Bye. Next question.
I don't think the four Mrs. can answer that. I think
Right.
it's obvious that we want someone, or we wanted someone who was looking for a monogamous relationship. But
What about Jazz?
So I feel like it depends on the person. If you're not looking for anything serious and you just kind of want to have a good time and go out from here and there, then that might be the guy for you. Me personally, that's not what I'm looking for. So if you can't agree to that, or if you're not looking for that right now, which is a popular thing you hear a lot, I gotta go. We can be cool, we can be friends, but it's not gonna be more than that.
Okay.
So is that at a point where you've decided that this is someone you're interested in, or is this? This is not the first date or the second date.
Yeah, I
you've
think-
actually been like you've gotten to know this person.
Right. So, we've been talking for a while. We've gone on a few dates. I get to the point where I'm looking to see where this could go further. And if you're giving me a hesitation, then I gotta go.
What if it's the first date, though, and he tells you this, and you think that maybe that's just because he hasn't met somebody that he feels like he could or should be monogamous to?
I feel like then that's when you enter the situationship trap. And you can't force somebody into something that they don't want to do. So you can try and stick around and see if it's going to happen, but in the end, if that's not what they want, you're just hurting yourself. Because he told you from Jump Street, that's not what I want. So
And you will hear it again later. You will hear
I
it
told
again.
you from the beginning I wasn't interested.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. Yes, good. So what if he won't stop talking about his deceased ex?
Deal breaker.
I am with Miss Nicki on this one, and the reason why is because I cannot compete with a dead person. Like, you'll have this person kind of like on a pedestal in your mind, and I will never be able to achieve that. Basically, I can't get to those levels, and I'll feel like I'm always in competition with that person, especially if you keep talking about that person and comparing me to that person. So I don't think I want to get involved in that.
I don't think you're over her yet if you're still talking about her, and maybe a relationship isn't best. for
And you
right
may
now.
never be over her or
Exactly.
him.
That's very true.
Exactly.
But let me add though, if my cornbread doesn't take like your mom's, that's also another issue, because if you're comparing, it's not just your ex, it can be your mother. You know, if you can't live up to the expectations that you have, that you created for what your mate should be.
But I feel like if that other person's still alive, then there may be something that causes their fall from grace and causes you to elevate. But if they've already passed, it's a done deal. Like they're on the top of the mountain in this person's head, and you'll just never get there.
Yeah.
So, what if he tells you he's been to prison?
Deal breaker.
Really?
I
Yes.
agree.
What if it's for like a white collar crime,
It doesn't
like
matter.
insider trading or something?
No, it doesn't matter, because that's going to prevent you in the future from doing a lot of things.
So that's not.
That's a
I
flaw.
don't
Yeah,
think
that's
so.
not a deal breaker for me.
Yeah.
I need to know why he went,
Right.
how long he was there for, and what were the terms of him being released. Because all of that is going to impact my future should I decide to continue a relationship with this person. So it's not initially a deal breaker, but I need to know
The details.
the details.
Right. I don't think I would deal with him if he had like a violent crime conviction. But if it was like, some type of like insider trading or like wire fraud or something like that, as long as, you're not in that lifestyle anymore, I don't think it's a deal breaker for me either.
Still with the Morgans and Vanderbilts.
I would think that prison would change a person and not necessarily for the better. I don't know. I think it might be a deal breaker for me.
I just think that there are some people who go to prison, even if. So obviously, for me, it can't be for anything violent. It can't be for anything against like adolescents or anything like that.
Right.
But I think there are some people who go to prison because they did something, and while they were in there, they have learned their lesson. They have changed their life around, and they come out with a new look on life and really, really trying to do the right thing. I don't think everybody that goes to prison just becomes this awful person,
Right.
and then they
That's
come
true.
out and.
I think I watched too much Orange is the New Black, so.
So I guess my biggest thing though is when you fill out the job application, it's have you ever been in prison before? And that begins to hinder, like your past will certainly follow you.
It can. So, perfect example. I was listening to the story of this guy who went to prison. I can't remember. I think he was in prison for about 10 years. Gets out of prison and gets into real estate. He gets into real estate. He gets married. He and his wife have a kid, and he is now self-sufficient. Like his investment properties are his passive income, and he's doing just fine. They've got like a 6-figure income, a house. This wonderful life. He has learned his lesson from being in jail, and he learned how to be self-sufficient, and he learned how to turn things around so that he's never back in that place. So I do think, you may not come out and get a conventional job, but you can get some sort of job.
But
Well,
is that
actually-
the majority or the minority?
Well, no, but actually nowadays a lot of companies are kind of moving away from that question being on their applications, and I can speak to this because I do deal with a good bit of hiring in my career. What ends up happening is they run the background check, and they have certain things that are flags for them on the background check, and if you don't flag any of those things, it doesn't really matter if you've been to prison. As long as the crime wasn't one of those things that raised a flag, you'll still get hired. And I also kind of feel like if you've paid your debt to society, then why is society still making you pay for that? So I wouldn't hold that against you unless it was, something. I would question a person who had like violent convictions or something like that. I wouldn't, want to be involved with a person like that. But there could be a million reasons that aren't quite that bad why a person maybe did commit a crime that I feel like you could definitely grow from and remove yourself from that mindset. And I wouldn't hold that against you anymore. What about you,
It's a deal
Jazz?
breaker for me.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's a deal breaker. Even if it was something like insider trading or money laundering, it still speaks to your character. And if you were able to lie and cheat from someone else, you could also do the same to me. So,
Yep, I agree.
So our last one, I think is kind of a doozy. What if he tells you he's a virgin?
Deal breaker. Please.
deal breaker. When I was younger, I would have been like, oh, maybe he's just saving himself for marriage or hasn't met somebody he likes well enough. But just where I am now, it's like, I don't feel like putting the training wheels on his bicycle.
My follow-up question is, are you lying?
No, it's really a deal breaker for me. Like,
No, I'm sorry, to him.
Oh,
My
I thought you were
question, no, I'm sorry. My question to him is, are you lying?
Ditto.
Because I don't know if I believe that.
Well, my
I
question
agree.
is, a virgin to, does it speak to sexuality?
Exactly.
It's not a deal breaker for me. I mean, I guess it would depend. I don't know. It's not a deal breaker for me.
Yeah, it's not a deal breaker for me either. I would definitely want to know why. But I have to be honest, when I'm getting to know somebody, well, first and foremost, I'm not having sex with you on the first date anyway. So let me get through this first date and see if I like you, see if this is something that I want to continue to pursue. And for me, it's actually more important to establish a connection with that person and a solid relationship with them first. So that's not a deal breaker at all.
Yeah, but are you willing to put in the legwork to train him?
If he's
That
a
might-
good guy,
That
then-
might be even better. Just
Right.
train him to what exactly you want.
That's a better question. What if you find out that he's unable to perform? So how does that impact your relationship in getting to know him?
Yeah, what if he's tried,
And he
but
can,
it just can't happen for him? And that's why he's still a virgin.
Poor thing.
Well, then
Is he the poor thing? Oh, never mind.
that's different though, because at this age of dating, you're dating with the expectation that you will go on to have, a long, healthy, fulfilled sex life. So if you are telling me that that's not an option, that's different.
So it's not a deal breaker, but you need to know why. Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I would just have so many questions. I
It's-
would just need to know why. Like, just tell me why. Like, are you saving yourself for the right person? Like, we just have to have a conversation. It's not a deal breaker, but are you
Yeah.
lying to me again?
I just know it's a deal breaker for me. Just across the board, I'm not interested.
Oh yeah, no, not at all.
Sorry.
Not at all. I don't know. Those guys are hard to find.
They
It
are.
is very hard to find a man who is our age who is a virgin.
Well, Nikki, what about if he at your age is a virgin?
it's a deal breaker if I was your age. It's a deal breaker because at some point, I'm not able to understand each and every one of the women, each and every one of the young ladies in this room. I don't think any of you want a sexless relationship.
Absolutely.
Right.
No, ma'am. Well, that was fun. I feel like we got some good perspectives. I know my eyes were opened a little bit to some things I didn't consider before. What do you guys think?
That
I
was
agree.
good.
Yeah,
I agree.
Good.
Yeah, it was a really good episode.
So, Elle, do we have a listener question today?
Yes, we do. Our listener question comes from Marcy from Dallas.
Hi, Marcy. Thanks for listening.
She says, how do you flirt if you're completely socially awkward?
Okay, so listen, guys. I have Bree's foolproof flirting techniques. Are you guys ready? Strap in, put your seatbelts on. Here it comes.
I don't think we're ready.
Nope.
No, listen, it works. And it's not as crazy as you probably think
This
it's
is going to
about
be a
get.
surprise to everyone.
No, listen. And this is the thing. I flirt for sport because I am very happily married. But sometimes I just want to feel like I still got it,
So you flirt.
Absolutely.
Okay.
My husband knows this. And he
Okay.
likes to reap the benefits of my flirting. Because sometimes that means we get free drinks or free movie tickets or extra burritos or something. I mean,
okay.
Why not?
Interesting.
He knows I'm not going home with anybody but him. But this is what you do. So let's say you're out at an event and you spot a really fine guy across the room or girl. This works no matter what. So this is what you do. You have to kind of do a little coy eye flirting first, okay? So you want to look at him, but you don't want to look at him like you're trying to see if he has something in his teeth. So make sure your face is really soft, and as soon as he makes eye contact, linger for like a half a second and then turn away, okay? Now wait a few seconds and then look back. He should either still be looking or he should be looking back and forth at you, okay? At that point, you want to go over to him, okay? You introduce yourself nicely. He should introduce himself back. Make sure you smile, soft eyes. Again, you're not mean mugging anybody. And hopefully, you know, you're at an event where you can make small talk that's not related to, I don't know, like, so what are you doing here? You know, you want to say something like, oh, well, do you work for this company? Or are you a client here or something? And hopefully that opens the door to meaningful conversation. Now, in the conversation, you want to laugh. You also want to make some small jokes. And you want to be the first person to excuse yourself. Okay? So you want to leave before he leaves you. Now, when it comes time to exchange information, I am not a fan of what's your IG handle, what's your Twitter name. I'm old school. We need phone numbers. And I would rather take his number than me give him mine because I want the ball in my court, not his. So once I get his number, I am not texting him that night. I'm texting him the next day. And it's just going to be, hey, this is Bree. I got your number at the blah, blah, blah last night. I had a really good time talking to you. Hopefully he doesn't just respond with, yeah, me too.
Because that would be a deal breaker.
That would be a deal breaker. That's your door. Walk through it, player. And so hopefully, you know, that same rapport we had when we were talking to each other at the event continues via text. Then it's phone calls. Then it's asking out. Hopefully he offers to pay the check. Next thing you know, you getting a better than a $75 ring. You walking down the aisle. He's giving you his last name, which is Vanderbilt Morgan. Happily ever after. Boom! There you go, Marcy.
So what we want is someone to try this out and get back to us to let us know if it really works.
I try it all the time. It's foolproof. CJ is really giving me a look, y'all. Y'all can't see this, but CJ is
just
looking
told
at me.
our listeners
Like I have 3 heads.
how to randomly pick up a guy at a social event.
That's flirting. That's how you get him.
You started from the premise of socially awkward. How would you know?
How would I
You've
know
never
what?
been socially awkward.
Excuse me.
That's very
This
true.
works whether you're socially awkward or not. Because the first thing you're doing, you're just making eye love to him in the beginning. You don't even have to, don't act like you got something stuck in your eye. You know? You don't want to look cockeyed or anything like that. So try to, soften your facial muscles.
I'm with this.
Flip your hair a little bit, But you always want to keep the ball in your court and you want to leave him wanting more. So you definitely want to excuse yourself first. Don't be talking to him all night and he's like, well, I gotta go and buy, and you just stuck at the bar holding this.
So better yet, maybe we'll have a follow-up episode. We'll ask Miss Nikki and Miss Jazz to go and try this out.
Bree's techniques and report back.
And let us know if this works.
I'm just trying to envision a socially awkward person winking.
Exactly.
And hair flipping.
She gave you step by step.
I gave you step by step.
Gaze and
A gaze. That's gonna turn into a stare.
But I told you literally how long to stare.
And you walk up to him. Don't forget that part. Socially
Marcy,
awkward
if that
me.
bothers you, baby, just keep doing the eye look away thing like I said, but make sure you're smiling when you're looking, and he'll come up to you.
I was about to say, maybe add in,
sweet.
just be available, like be in the area, and then see if he'll make the first move.
Unless,
all about
of course,
body
he's
language.
socially awkward.
he might be socially awkward too.
Okay,
So
in
now
that
y'all are both
case,
just
listen,
looking back and forth.
Somebody has to bite the bullet. I hate to break it to you, otherwise y'all are gonna awkward yourselves into never having this great relationship.
So I'm sorry, what was her name?
Marcy.
Marcy. I will say the most important thing is for you to get comfortable having conversations with strangers, because that's essentially what it is. Finding a way to introduce yourself, finding a way to spark up a topic of interest, and letting it flow from there. The eye wink and the hair flip, that may work, but it may not work. So you have to get to a place where you are at least comfortable starting a conversation, even if that means in the back of your mind having a few topics you're comfortable discussing, having a few pieces of interesting tidbits about yourself that are not embarrassing, that you don't mind sharing. I think the biggest thing is getting over that hurdle of talking to someone. So
True.
You can pick up on clues too, though.
Right.
So, like, if you're at a wedding and he's not dancing, then you can walk over and say, "Oh, you must not be feeling the music," or just find something. You can watch him for a little while or her,
And
make
you
some
don't have to
comment
be
about it.
afraid of like saying something silly or doing something awkward, because honestly, most people find those things endearing. And if you laugh it off as soon as it happens, it's something that you and him can share.
Yeah,
Remember that time you knocked that drink all over my tie?
right. Worst case scenario, you can always bail with the cat is hungry.
There you go. The cat is always hungry if you need the cat to be hungry. What about you, Nikki? How do you flirt? You know what? Don't answer that. And I want you to try my technique and then come back and let us know how well it works.
I'll send you my book. Actually, I think, Marcy, that you get accustomed to just talking to people, period. It's not someone that you're not necessarily someone you're interested in, but just genuinely enjoying conversation with people, interacting with people. It makes it easier. It just makes it easier when there's a genuine interest in people.
So you're saying not have a motive, just
go up to
over,
strangers.
Right.
take off the edge,
Talk to
release the
anybody,
pressure, just
like
Yeah,
the guy on the subway.
I
if we have
agree.
the subway, but just the person on the subway. Everybody brings something to the table. Everybody has a lesson to teach, whether you're receptive to it, whether you need it now, whether it's a lesson you store for the future. But every encounter brings an opportunity to learn something. It could be the things that you never want to see again. But there's
It
a
could be
lesson
some flags
in
and
every
he's a number
encounter.
2.
Correct.
Marcy, that's a good point, Nikki. Marcy, Dallas, so you probably, you could be at like a rodeo or something like that. Just go up to a guy and talk, or a girl, and just get, that should be step 1. Get comfortable talking to strangers, and then go into Bree's foolproof how you flirt steps.
there you go.
There you go.
2-part answer.
all right, so if any of our listeners out there try Bree's techniques, please report back and let us know if this works for you. I'm interested.
And if
Me
you
too.
videotape it, we might have you as a guest on the podcast. Just saying.
All right, well, this has been another edition of For Mrs. and a Mic. We thank you guys so much for listening in. If you have questions or comments, or you just want to hit us up, you can follow us on Instagram at For Mrs. and a Mic. That's the number 4 Mrs. and a Mic. You can also email us at formrsandamic@gmail.com. And Bree, you got a quote
Yes, of
for
course
us?
I do have a quote for us. This quote comes from 90s supergroup TLC. I'm looking like class, and he's looking like trash. Can't get with a deadbeat ass. Y'all be blessed.
Thanks, guys. This is CJ.
CC.
L.
And Bree. Bye.